I'm going to start out by telling you a little bit about me. I, like Chelsea, I came from more of a corporate background. So where I come from is, no, why can't I get this going? There we go. Like you, like a lot of you, I was in a corporate setting. I built instructor-led training and webinars and e-learnings, and I worked with a lot of different subject matter experts who, as we all know, subject matter experts really like to use a lot of the words, like Christopher was talking about earlier. You've got to pare it down, right? So that's our job most of the time. So since I have joined the California Dental Association, from the name of that, I'm sure you can surmise that I work with dentists as our members. That's no more. I'm not building a lot of e-learning as a consumable because, really frankly, our dentists are, they're really looking for clinical, hands-on, workshop style education so they can learn how to do new things, right? And of course, this makes sense. If you go to the dentist, we all go to the dentist. We want a dentist who knows what she's doing, right? We don't want them to be practicing on us on how to do an implant. We want them to feel really confident and comfortable. So I think we can all agree that that kind of training is important for dentists, and that is not really what we're providing. So what is it that who is it that who's my audience? My audience are dentists. They are members of the association. They have worked with patients and staff all day. They're tired by the end of the day. So really looking forward to sitting on a really long webinar. We're searching for resources through myriad resources on a website. It's just not in the cards. Sitting down to an e-learning isn't really in the cards for them. Never mind that they have a million rules that they need to know, and there's regulations, and they have to be on top of all that as a dentist. Again, we want our dental offices to be clean and safe, right? So we want to make sure they're on top of those things. So, and they also need leadership skills and general help on learning to run a business. All that business acumen stuff that Christopher and Chelsea were talking about earlier, that's not what they went to school to learn. They didn't go to school to be business owners. They went to be dentists, right? So that's a bit of a challenge. So look, I have this corporate L&D background, and I had been longing to use microlearning for a long time. I love the concept of it. I too have worked with subject matter experts who are very long-winded, and they wanna tell everybody everything. They subscribe to the fire hose theory of training people, and we all know on this audience, even Jordana knows that we don't want to do that to our people, right? We don't love to do that. So I saw 7TAPS as a tool that could kind of bridge the communication and education in a way that would be engaging and effective, and kind of sneak in the learning along on the side, right? So first things first, I was in love with 7TAPS, so I knew that my mission was going to be to share it with other people in the organization so that they would fall in love with it like I had. So I put together my own sales pitch, if you will. I'm very fortunate. CDA we're a small but mighty organization. We are very flat. So I had to get my manager on my side, and I figured at least one other person, right? So our CPO, who is the most amazing lady, she's just a wonderful person, and she has a love of learning. So that's part of her background too. So I started with my peer group though. We don't have instructional designers. My background is instructional design, but we don't have instructional designers. So I enlisted my peers and marketing partners. I have marketing partners that I've worked with here, and I shared it with them. I said, what do you think of this tool? Think of the endless possibilities. Think of everything we could use it for. And that was for education, different groups, and for marketing with different groups, same kinds of things. And I showed them a sample and I started sharing out that sample. We all know how easy it is. And this was still in the testing phase. I was only on there. It was just me on there. So I was kind of a lone voice in the dark there, you know, kind of looking for other champions for the 7TAPS case, right? So I went on that journey, and as I got agreement from people, I just kept building the audience with that, right? I kept showing it to new people. I was able to share it with our chief marketing officer, and you know, she saw the benefits too. So we got to the point where we got to buy it. Now, I had never been through a process like that before. So if anybody's interested, I'm happy to share more about that experience with you. But really what I wanted to talk about is how we have been able to capture the power of 7TAPS and use it not just for learning. The nationwide example that Chelsea gave us earlier is just pure learning. That's taking that content can be, it's boring for some people, and making it digestible, making it snackable, and making it really, really accessible for people. So let me tell you a little bit about one group that we're very interested in reaching, which is our early career dentists and dental students. You said earlier, you know, younger audiences, they've grown up in this technical age. They are used to consuming information at a quick pace. They don't sit down and, hey, I think I'll sit down and read this 30-page white paper or watch a video. They're watching short things, right? So the other problem that we're looking to solve is that they're not joiners, right? People under 40 or so, they're not really joining associations and other kinds of groups, right? So we were looking for ways to communicate both education and the association value. So there's a little bit of a dual purpose here, and we wanted to show our value in ways that are modern and consumable, and that look like what people already see in real life. So we have been putting together some wonderful programs, and they're local programs. People have been coming. We're very excited about that. So all the people are coming. So how did I decide? How did we use 7TAPS in this case? This was an in-person event. They were a lot of fun. People were having a great time with it. But what we wanted to do was gather some information. So we used 7TAPS to put together a survey for all of the participants who were attending these events. What did that look like? All right, let me show you. I will show you. We basically used the polling features. We didn't want to use the quiz features because that was limiting people to one answer, and we wanted to make sure that people could pick something out of a group of four. We obviously could not tell them what the right answer was. So we had a survey. How do you feel overall about the program today? We got a lot of good answers back on that. We asked with the fill-in response, what kind of topics do you want to see? There's nothing like going to the learners themselves and asking them what they want to know about. What are their pain points? And we don't like to call it pain points because these are dentists, so we don't like to talk about pain. But what are the areas that keep them up at night? What do they want to learn about and hear more about? Keep in mind, dental students, the same thing as I mentioned earlier, they're in dental school. They're learning a lot about how to do dentistry. They're learning about the biology and the science and the techniques. They're not learning about the business side of it. They're not learning, how to be a CPA and a good leader and all of that. So we were hoping to just get a really good idea of all of the things that people wanted to do. We also gave them links. Here's some links. Here, you want to find out more about CDA? Here's all the things that you can find out about CDA. All right. Another thing that we're doing, another program that we're putting together is a resource tool. So basically CDA, I have I have a group of people at CDA who are my subject matter experts when we do build out learning, who are brilliant. They've been in the dental industry for a long time. They have all these wonderful areas of expertise. You can kind of see a snippet of that on here on the slide. They have a lot of information. If I could show you our regulatory manual alone is huge. It's huge, and it's difficult to find things. So we wanted to call out points of interest, as it were, so we could get people interested. And we have all these different little courses in here that take from about 1.5 to 2.5 minutes. They contain links to source documents and all kinds of things. Anything the learner wants to take a deeper dive in, or come back and learn more about later, there it is. They've got their opportunity to do that. And the hope is that these users can access the materials more easily. And again, that they see the value that CDA brings to the table as a resource, that they understand that they can actually, they can look at these 7TAPS courses, but if they have questions and they're a member, they can call and talk to somebody. They actually can call and talk to somebody who can guide them through some of these sticky situations. So don't worry, we have our employees too. We want them to be happy. We want them to continue to learn and grow. So internally, the first group who took advantage of 7TAPS was HR. Of course, I mentioned that the CPO was one of the first champions that came on board to help me get 7TAPS into the CDA organization. So she assigned a human resources business partner, an HRBP, to create some new hire training. So what was happening is that when we had new hires, they would have phone calls on Mondays that lasted an hour to an hour and a half, where they would review everything from soup to nuts about benefits, about payroll, about time cards, whatever it was they needed to do. So we put together this quick 7TAPS for them that eliminated probably more than half of that time. It's more than 7 cards. It goes a little bit longer, but I had the HRBP on a call. We talked about microlearning. She made an outline of the information she wanted to put into her 7TAPS course, and we talked about it. I shared my screen. I showed her 7TAPS. I said, here it is. This is how it works. These are the things you can do. And guess what I said? I said, knock yourself out. And that's exactly what she did. And she came back. Again, this speaks to the ease with which you can learn 7TAPS and get up and running. You do not have to be an instructional designer. I'm not trying to put us out of business, people, but truthfully, it can take some simple jobs and work off of our plates if we have partners in our organizations that can do this. So she did it. She used the features. She went through. She built these lovely cards that welcome you to CDA. We had our lovely executive director, Peter. He recorded a video. Just as an aside, they did the video on his computer at first. Of course, the aspect ratio, it was 16:9. I said, can we redo it on a phone, have him do it again? He did it. It fit perfectly. I had very little feedback for her. Sometimes I was like, split this into 2 things or shorten this up, kind of like Christopher did with his team. And we went through and she gave them contact information, and she gave them all the links and all the things that they needed. And is that all we have time for? Or I had to kind of rush through that. I had one more, but I can certainly stop Christopher if we need to.
You can do one more. Go for it.
Okay. All right. The next person that got on board, we have a comms department. So our communications people write articles that are member facing, but we also have communications people that work internally, and they pull great information from off the web and they consolidate it for us. And she did the same thing. I did the same thing with our communications woman. I showed it to her. I said, here's 7TAPS. I gave her a login and said, knock yourself out. And she came up with so she was already really good at writing shortened things, right? She was already good at condensing. So it was like throwing a fish in the water there. So she had a really great time. She gave the high points of the tips. She did a poll, so just to kind of give people an opportunity to share what they were thinking about being a perfectionist. And then she linked out to the original HBR article so that people could go ahead and take a look at that if they wanted to learn more. So all in all, it's been a really great tool to have online with our organization, both internally and externally, and we're looking forward to just doing more and more and more. That's it, Christopher. If you want to get a hold of me, there's my LinkedIn. If you'd like to take a look at the samples that I provided for you today, take a look at them a little bit longer than what I showed you, you're welcome to do that.
Love it. Love it, Karen. And with that, let the bass beat drop. I love it. It was great. It was truly fantastic. So, one of the things that you talked about that I really, really appreciated, and I think we can do more of this as an industry, and we talked about it with Jordana as well, is being inclusive of inviting people into this. I think sometimes there's this tendency to want to be like, no, we have to be the one to do it. But we really have
Right.
the opportunity to go, well, no, we still have a very valuable role when we engage. Because I don't know about anybody else, but I never have enough time to get to absolutely everything the company needs. And actually inviting those people in and giving them that guidance is actually super powerful. So I love it.